Economic Affairs Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin Ali.
Azmin Ali, 1980s, studied in the University of Minnesota. In the summers, he'd organize forums for Prime Minister Mahathir should he visit the US on official business. Mahathir and Azmin got close, so close that Mahathir was the guest of honor at Azmin's wedding. 1993, Anwar Ibrahim was Mahathir's deputy prime minister. Mahathir chose Azmin to be Anwar's private secretary. 1998, Mahathir sacked Anwar, allegedly for sodomy. Smells fishy. The world knew it was fishy. The Human Rights Watch had a piece in 1998, quote, Human Rights Watch also noted that the following serious human rights violation had taken place in recent months in connection with Mr. Anwar's case. Use of the Internal Security Act. Restrictions on freedom of assembly. Restrictions on freedom of expression, excessive use of force by police, restrictions on freedom of association. As for Azmin, he left Mahathir, joined Anwar, and became one of the founders of Parti Keadilan Rakyat, PKR, Anwar's new opposition party. Azmin will step out of the limelight for the next 15 years as Malaysia took a downturn for the worse. It happened slowly, very, very slowly. August 28, 2009. Under the guise of Islam, fanatics severed a cow's head and held a protest against the relocation of a Hindu temple in Selangor.
Kami cabang kamu datang ke Seksyen 23. Takbir! Kami bantah! Kami bantah! Kami bantah! Kami bantah! Kami bantah!
January 11, 2010. Reporter Ethan Cole for the Christian Post reported of the 8th arson attack on a church in Malaysia since the High Court ruled that non-Muslims can use the word Allah to refer to God. November 9th, 2011. The Christian Post reports again. The Selangor Islamic Religious Department JAIS raided the Damansara Utama Methodist Church. May 5th, 2013, 5:05. Malaysia's general election. Najib's BN UMNO, though victorious, performed very poorly. Najib Razak, for all his One Malaysia policy, claimed his poor election performance was due to a Chinese tsunami of voters.
Yeah, because Chinese tsunami clearly.
May 6, 2013, a day after the election, Utusan Malaysia, UMNO's newspaper, wrote Apa lagi Cina mau? which means, what more do the Chinese want?
Ya. Nah, dia hanya ikut arahan Datuk Najib. Sebab pertama, utusan itu surat khabar UMNO. Kedua, saya tahu sebab semasa saya timbalan Presiden UMNO itu punyai pegawai yang boleh beri arahan harian kepada UMNO. Dan ini juga saya sebut dalam mahkamah. Dalam kes ini, Datuk Seri Najib menyebut tentang rekonsiliasi. Satu yang saya sambut secara positif, semangat baik. Tetapi dalam masa yang sama, dia sebut tsunami Cina yang saya tolak. Ya. Kita tidak boleh gunakan ini untuk menghangatkan suasana kau. Jadi ini satu yang permainan sentimen. Dan ini malangnya disahkan ya, dengan restu pemimpin UMNO, termasuk media UMNO.
Utusan Malaysia would only gain some reporters' independence years later. July 31st, 2013, the Malay Mail reported a school headmistress in Shah Alam, Selangor, telling non-Malay pupils to go back to India and China. October 14, 2013, Time magazine wrote a piece titled, "Only Muslims Can Call God Allah," Malaysian court says.
In a landmark decision, a Malaysian court has ruled that a Christian newspaper can't use the word Allah to refer to God, following a controversy that has fanned religious tensions and raised questions over minority rights in the country. The unanimous decision by 3 Muslim judges in Malaysia's appeals court overturned a 2009 ruling by a lower court that allowed the Malay language version of the newspaper, The Herald, to use the word Allah, something many Christians in the country say has been the case for centuries.
God is an integral part of every religion we have. Allah is a term. In the Middle East and in Indonesia, it is a term that is used by both Christians and Muslims. And so you cannot say that all of a sudden it is not an integral part.
Race, religion, politics were rife. Things were bad. Very, very bad. February 6, 2014, PKR, Anwar's party, in a move of desperation, made the Kajang move.
If you go back, rewind the last from 505, I dare say that the country gets worse after 505. Tetapi sepanjang 37 tahun saya hidup, for the last 37 years, I have not encountered, not once except in 1997 in Kampung Rawa, where a group of people of different faith demonstrated in front of a place of worship of another faith. Never happened in Malaysia. Mungkin oleh kerana kita sudah biasa dengan permainan perkauman UMNO Barisan Nasional sejak 5-6 tahun yang lepas. Ever since 2008 we get used to it, but not at all, just because we are used to it, not at all, it makes it less dangerous. The demography of the country is changing. In 10-15 years' time, most probably, Melayu Bumiputra will reach 70% of the population. In the next election, general election, for the first time, the largest voters, the single largest voters, is the first-time voters from Malay. Whether you like it or not. These are facts. In UMNO, after the failure of One Malaysia and the dismal performance of UMNO Barisan Nasional in the last general election, the doctrine that a single race rule is possible in Malaysia is taking hold. And this is going back to the kind of politics that Tun Mahathir has been playing before I was born. That negara ini boleh ditadbir hanya oleh satu bangsa, iaitu Melayu. You may not be surprised because that's what you've been hearing from some buffoons in UMNO for the last 1 year. I have reasons to believe, and I'm convinced, the dynamics in UMNO, if Najib is ousted and the Ultras, Tun Mahathir takes over, they will continue to propagate a one race rule doctrine. And the only way why they want to propagate this is because they believe race, religion controversies is our Achilles heel. Today, they can raid a church. Tomorrow, they will raid a temple. The next day, the permutation, as UMNO would like to say, is endless possibilities of what they can play with race and religion issue. It is because we know that no matter how much Datuk Seri Anwar or Saudara Lim Kit Siang or Pakatan Rakyat made an appeal for us to sit down over these issues, over race, religions issue, over economic issue, crime, education, we have repeated this for the last 7 months to no avail. Najib was busy jet setting, you know. So we didn't get a single positive reply that to them these are serious concerns that we need to put aside any consideration for political mileage to resolve this immediately. That's why we feel, given the seriousness of the developments of the last few months, we need to change the status quo.
Change the status quo. How? In Rafizi Ramli's own words,
is to gamble with our number one leader, is to put him on the ground, not just to upset the whole political setting, but because we feel that with him on the ground, which I will explain a bit later, it will give him the political legitimacy to confront BN's UMNO's political and racial attack head-on.
Anwar Ibrahim, PKR's number one leader, for all his flaws, a true Malaysian.
Little do we remember that in 2007, Datuk Seri Anwar, to the disgust and disagreement of almost everyone, including myself, preached to Malaysians that we should put an end to NEP. No Malay political leader has ever said that on record before 2007. It was an extremely unpopular move. It was an extremely risky political stand. And even the non-Malays in PKR says we are really sending ourselves to the gutter by saying this because the Malays will slaughter us. But it is because of that risk that he took, out of sheer conviction, because of the sincerity to the Malaysians, that the time has come for us to move on and treat everyone equally. I dare say, because of that, finally, I think all of our races can come together and look forward for a promise of better Malaysia. It was a risky stand taken by PKR that was the first to preach for a needs-based policy. I mean, of course, DAP has been talking it for a long while, but it is the first Malay-based, Malay majority party to talk about an end of NEP. If we had not taken that risky move in 2007, 2008 wouldn't have been possible, 2013 would have been possible.
But why? Why such a gamble? Again, in Rafizi Ramli's own words,
political attacks requires political acumen to deflect it.
PKR, desperate, mad, but necessary. This so-called Kajang move, multi-objective, multi-pronged, multiple things had to happen successfully in succession. This story itself is a saga. One of the objectives was to make Anwar Ibrahim a member of parliament representing the constituency of Kajang. But before this could happen, March 2014, just 1 month after this Kajang move was announced, Anwar was swiftly convicted again for sodomy, a second time. How convenient. You can't be a member of parliament if you're in jail. It is here that Azmin steps back into the limelight. At the end of the Kajang move, Azmin became Selangor's chief minister. Despite suspicions, Azmin delivered. April 2015, Nicholas Chang, reporter for the Star newspaper, reported a demonstration outside a church in Taman Medan by Muslims. They demanded that the cross be taken down. The church caved in. The cross was taken down. Azmin, however, ordered the cross to be placed back up. Good move. No race and religion politics. Malaysia ever so slightly began to see a sliver of a new